Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen. Thank you for tuning in to the George Espinlov Show this morning. It's 9:30 a.m. here on the East Coast. Our friends out on the West Coast are probably just now beginning to stir, or maybe they've been stirring for a little while. But nonetheless, welcome. We invite you to come in, participate, throw your comments up there, ask your questions. And there is the young lady of the hour or the minute, whatever we want to say. There is Miss Lacey. And before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls, we have to bring our most spectacular, hard-working. I mean, he really gets down and gets it done. We got to bring Dude on here so he can earn his keep and his 30 seconds of popularity. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Dude. And there he was, 30 seconds. That's all he works. Miss Lacey, it's great to have you this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And there is my friend, my partner in, I don't want to say crime, my partner.
Well, I don't know if that sounds right nowadays either.
No, that don't sound right either. There is Mr. Ed Temple out of Columbus, Ohio. Miss Lacey, she's also out of Columbus, Ohio. And it's just a delight to have each and every one of you guys here on screen and all of you that are watching and that will watch in the future. Thank you. We have an exciting show. This young lady is getting it done, for lack of a better term. So, Miss Lacey, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, some of your young life, and bring us up to this point.
Okay, so I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and um, my younger life, I graduated from Lyndon McKinley High School. Mr. Temple was my ninth grade history teacher, and I fast forward a few years to life now. I have two children, a 10-year-old and a 1 year old. And my 1 year old was diagnosed with a rare form of dwarfism called thanatophoric skeletal dysplasia, which led me on my journey that I'm on now.
So you're saying that this child of yours is a blessing.
He is a huge blessing. My life literally changed once I mean, my pregnancy with him, because it touched on my faith, because I was told to basically terminate him due to his health condition.
I was getting ready to ask you that, whether they asked you to do that. Did that change
Yes.
your perspective on that whole, let's say, movement?
Which movement?
Well, the movement of the pro-choice movement. Did that affect you at all?
Um, Honestly, it really didn't, and I think at the time when you're in a situation such as that, I was just thinking about myself, because I literally, they told me I had 2 weeks to come up with a decision, to make that decision, and it wasn't even a thought for me. I'm like, no, if he, I would be giving up on him, not giving him a fighting chance. So it wasn't even a option. I didn't think about pro life. I thought about the baby who I've been feeling move inside of me, because I'm 20 weeks at this point. For somebody to tell me to terminate him was just not. It wasn't an option for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I can I empathize with you. as you know, we have twins, but we really had triplets. One of them, they were trying to tell us we were going to have to pick which one didn't get to make it. And so it just so happened that one of them didn't make it anyway. But we weren't going to make that decision either. That's crazy.
It is.
I just wonder, Ed and Miss Lacey. I just wonder, and I'm sure you have too, along with millions of other people. I just wonder how many uh, ministers, scientists, teachers, writers, so on and so forth, have literally been destroyed over the years by the act of abortion. Uh, I commend you, and I mean, my hat is off to you when someone, we hear about it, we read about it, but it was in your face. Uh, you've got to make a decision. And apparently you didn't even hesitate. I mean, it was a no from the word go, right?
It was. And the crazy part about all of that is even once I said yes, the doctor still, every appointment, I had to see him once a week or every other week. And he still kept telling me, it's not going to look good for him. He tried to convince me to do basically like a baby hospice for him, that they would put morphine patches on his cheeks and just let him pass away. He never gave me the option of extreme measures and Jacobi getting on a ventilator and having a breathing tube. I didn't even know that was possible until I did my own research. So ultimately, I ended up reporting that doctor and I got a new doctor.
Wow.
That's funny. It's not funny you say that. We were asked when the babies were first born. My wife said, "Can I hold the baby? Can I hold the baby?" And the nurse callously said, "You can hold it because it's probably not going to live anyway."
Wow.
And so, yeah, so it's needless to say, we switched hospitals immediately.
Wow. Ed, that has seeing Miss Lacey on the screen and conversing with her and seeing where she's at today, that has to give you a very warm, fuzzy feeling inside.
Took my words too. But for sure, she went to a pretty. It was Linda McKinley is at the time and still is basically disproportionately has some of the financially worse off students in the state, and the results there said as much. But when I say results, I mean the kids are constantly. If you listen to news around Columbus, the Linda McKinley area has a shooting or a death on a weekly basis, if not multiple, more than one per week. I should know. I lived there during the school year, probably 2 or 3 days a week, sometimes 4 or 5 days during the week, and there's constantly police helicopters and shootings, and so it's a tough situation for someone to come out of there successful. Which, by the way, we have quite a few. We have people from doctors, lawyers, and teachers, and we have authors. But the point is, if they can survive and do and thrive, it tells you a lot about their character. So here's a situation where you have someone with strong enough character that says, you know what, even after all society is telling you to abort kids for no good reason, even a perfectly healthy kid, so you can, because we don't want you to be saddled with a child. We want you to just live free until whenever. Here's a situation where I would imagine the vast majority of women would have said, you know what, I'm not going to have this child. I'll let the doctor be my advisor. But it goes a testament to her character. She went through a tough situation in that school environment. That school, let's be honest, it was dangerous. I mean, seriously, there was when kids would get into a fight there, a lot of times it spilled out into the street, and then you always worried about if there was going to be some type of retaliation, because there's such a strong gang influence. I don't know that there weren't too many kids that were there that weren't affiliated in one way or another, even if it was loosely with some type of gang or something like that. And so the fact is, it is really cool to see kids that have made it, because a lot of them, they were victims of circumstance. They weren't bad kids. They were just in a bad situation. And a lot of the teachers weren't used to it and couldn't, it wasn't their cup of tea. They were there. They would be there just long enough to leave the school. They'd be there a couple of years and like, all right, we're out of here. This is too much. And so, fact is, it's funny because Sheq, as well as she's not totally alone. There's a few that were in the like. There's a window of time. I was there for close to 20 years, and the window of time where she was there, a couple classes plus or minus 1 or 2 years for whatever reason. Partly probably because of the principal at the time. Who was your principal? Was it Jenkins?
We had Mr. Jenkins, but
Yeah.
I graduated with Mr. Arrington.
Yeah. So Mr. Jenkins was very good about making the kids, giving the kids a lot more opportunities than normal. And so those years where Mr. Jenkins was there was not that I'm totally in for Mr. Jenkins because he had his flaws, but in terms of recruiting kids that wanted to be there and giving them the opportunities, that just goes to show you that if you just give kids the right opportunities and have them the right mentality, they don't even sometimes know they're in this situation, until they leave and they're like, wait a minute, was I going through that school with all that stuff going on?
And it's funny that you say that too, Mr. Temple, because when I like people around and they're like, oh, what school did you go to? Exactly. And I'm like, Linden. And they're like, what? You went to Linden? But I grew up in the Linden area. Like that will always be home. Like, yes, it's the hood. It's it's a lot that goes on. But Linden, we have some wonderful people who have come out of there and who are still coming. It's just like he said, it's based on the circumstances, and you can become a product of your environment and you can choose not to. Me, I always knew I wanted better. I knew that from, as a little kid, my mom says it all the time. Like I just knew I wanted more. So yes, coming out of the Linden area actually humbled me and made me the person that I am, because I know the struggle. I know what it's like. And even with doing this in the book, I want other kids in the Linden area to know the things that are possible. And I just want to put light on that.
Here is, excuse me, here is Sheq's webpage. And this is where you can get the book. In just a little while, I'm going to put the website up so everyone can see it. Jacobi and Me, an inspiring story. So we built the foundation. I'm just so elated that you took your stand and you said, no, indeedy, I'm going to have this baby. I'm going to raise this baby. God's going to help me. God's going to bless me. Did your faith play a big part in this?
Oh, a huge part. A huge part. I read scripture to Jacobi every day when he was in my belly. I told him every day you will live and not die, every single day. Every day. I think it's a Matthew verse. I forgot. I read that to him every day, that he should prosper. Like God's plan for him is much more and bigger. And yes, without faith, I don't think that I would have been able to do it. But I always see the bigger picture. And I just knew like my baby is going to be fine. The day I had him, I had to get a C-section because he was breech, but I had a calming over me. And I know that it was God. Like I was calm. I wasn't scared. I didn't feel anxious. I was.
Peace that passes all understanding?
Huh?
The peace that passes all understanding, that's the peace you felt?
Yes.
Okay.
Just peace. Just peace. I didn't feel anxious. I wasn't. The doctor saying, they told me that he wouldn't be strong enough to cry because with his dwarfism, and the reason he's on a ventilator is because his lungs are very small. So they're not able to expand like ours and take those deep breaths. So they were like, He won't be able to cry. He won't be strong enough. And my baby came out screaming loud. So Jacobi's story is a story of hope, faith, and love. And I feel like it is my job, and as a Christian, something that I'm supposed to do, that God put me here to do. A lot of times people question, what am I here for? What am I supposed to do? It may have looked different if Jacobi would have came out the average baby, but that's not what God had planned for me. What he had planned for me was to give other families hope, even if their situation isn't similar to mine. My testimony, I know, can help people get through things, because my son was in the hospital for 6 months of his life. He was there half of his life. He's coming up on 7 months of being home, which is longer than being in the hospital, and that's a huge accomplishment.
I got goosebumps. Wow, it just goes to show that God can take what is ordinary to man and turn it into an extraordinary event. He still, regardless of what the agnostics say and the atheists say and the anti-God people say, he's still high and lifted up. And there is no other higher than him. You have just, number one, you've inspired me already. Number two, you have just made my day complete. I'll walk 3 inches above the ground for the rest of the day, and I'll rehearse this over and over and over in my mind. The things that you have already said, tremendous. I mean, it is tremendous. Your thoughts, Ed?
I was saying that I hope that we can get her hooked up with some, the James Dobsons and so on. So, is this self-published?
Yes,
so you own the rights to it. I was going to say, well, that's good news, because then, someone like a James Dobson or something like that, they could pick it up and publish it themselves, because it's your book. But I would go back and say that, when did you write the book? And then, with respect to that, how long have you, or let's just talk about that first. When did you write the book?
So I started the book. Jacobi was still in a hospital. So I started like brainstorming in June of 2019. And I'm like, I think I want to write a book. I didn't know the angle that I wanted to do it. But Jacobi loves being read to. Like he zooms in. He loves pictures. He loves all of that. So that's where I got the idea of writing a children's book. And then the process of writing it, and of course, when I self-published, I spent all of my money on it. So altogether, I would say it took about a good solid 6 months for everything to be completed.
Were you? Well, go ahead, Ed.
No, I was going to say that it's taking about 6 months to complete. Who was your the person that did your drawing?
So the person who did my drawing is a good friend of mine. Her name is Andres Levon, and she's an artist, but I seen that she had done an illustration before. So my book was her second book illustrating, and she did amazing. I can't wait for you to get your book, Mr. Temple. Like it's awesome. Like it looks so good.
Yeah, well, it got my attention, I can tell you that. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to pull it up here in a second here, George.
Let me share this screen with everyone, and I'll show you this. Let me hit these right buttons here.
How many pages is the book?
So the book is about it's like 40, it's 40 pages, but that's because it's pictures on the opposite pages. Okay. So it's words on one side, pictures on the other.
Okay.
There is Sheq's webpage, Jacobi and Me book.com, and there is the artistry that she was talking about. I was looking at, I have In fact, I'd look at it and then I'd think, let me look at that again. I'd go back and look at it. I must have looked at it 4 or 5 different times, and I thought that is really cool because I'll scroll down here in a minute and you can see some other pictures. Uh, she did a fine job because the resemblance between the actual pictures and the artwork, it,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
And I thought it was very important to show. I didn't see any books. Jacobi has a trach. He's hooked up to a ventilator. And I just wanted to make sure that other kids who have trachs can see themselves on the cover. And it just so happens that, I also have brown boys, which makes it even just another level of different. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, the person that did that artwork did an amazing job. Let me excuse me. Let me scroll down here, and I'll bring these other pictures up. I mean, what a resemblance. Uh, I mean, for instance, this picture here, and then you go back and look at the artwork again. Uh, that person that did the artwork was spot on, don't you think?
Yeah, she did amazing.
Sheq, what is who is your audience?
So my audience is honestly, so I wanted it to be a children's book. And I feel like with Jacobi being young and Ameir being 10, it can be honestly from newborn to, I would say, about 5th grade-ish. And my audience, as far as the people, it's a teaching book as well. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint. And every time I think about, I can't say it's for everybody because it isn't. It is a family book. It is a book explaining something. We have a lot of kids in our family. So we talk about Jacobi's condition in a book in a very simple way. So I would say that my audience is more for family, and I don't think that you have to have special needs to get this book because it's also a book of hope. It's Ameir. It's from Ameir's perspective. So Ameir is the one explaining everything and his feelings going through the process of having a brother with special needs.
I was going to say that was going to ask you about Ameir. So Ameir looks like he's definitely kind of filling in a role. What is his role?
Ameir is an excellent big brother. He was the only child for 9 years. So, of course, he was spoiled. But he came in with Jacobi having this condition as, I mean, it's amazing, honestly. He takes care of Jacobi like I take care of Jacobi. When Jacobi cries, he knows how to soothe him. He knows how to make him stop. Jacobi has a feeding tube. Ameir knows how to start his feeds, and we have to suction him and suction his nose. Ameir, I mean, he's great. His role is very big. I work 10 hours a day, and Ameir watches him if I'm doing something.
With the condition of your child, which I wouldn't try to pronounce the name of the condition no more than I would your real first name because I never did get it then, and I'm not going to figure it out now. But what's his prospects? Is he going to live, into his 80s or 90s or 60s or 70s? What are they saying? Because not to say we have to believe what they're saying. Believe that.
Right. Well, honestly, it's kind of hard to say because Nationwide Children's Hospital is amazing, have wonderful doctors, got my baby home. But we did have a specific doctor who said Jacobi would only last 2 weeks. Like he gave Jacobi 2 weeks, legit. So even with that, it's kind of hard to say. The oldest child that lived with we can just say TD for short, he was 20 years old, but he was born in the 80s. So to me, the way that I look at it, and for what I'm trying to do for my son, science is developing every single day.
Yes.
And everything is different. The ventilators are developing every day. And it's not even that Jacobi will need a vent for the rest of his life. He may still need his trach as an open airway, but it's really hard to say what his time span looks like. There is a 14-year-old that lives in Florida. And then there's a 9-year-old family that I'm really close to who lives in Virginia. And Jacobi is different from each one of them. So I can't really say how long he will live. When somebody tells you your child will pass away in utero and then they make it to delivery, then they will pass away in 2 weeks, and now he's 14 months. So, I mean, the way that I look at it, every day is a gift with Jacobi because God gave us favor. So as long as I've had with him, that's what I try to focus on, because nobody's life is promised with a health condition or not. So I just go with it.
Wow.
How'd you come up with the name Jacobi?
So it's so his dad was very like choosy on his name. And I was just on social media and I seen his name. I spelled it differently than I seen it, but his dad's name starts with a J, and his dad's favorite basketball player was Kobe Bryant. So when I told him Jacobi, like he only calls Jacobi Kobe. He doesn't even call him Jacobi. So it just all has to work out.
Kobe lives on.
Yes, he does.
Sheq, what is Jacobi's disposition? I mean, is he usually happy, laid back?
Oh my goodness. He's honestly super chill. Like he only cries when he needs his diaper changed, or he watches this show on Netflix, and if it goes off, he yells for you to cut it back on. He's very smart, like very, very smart. And that was another thing that they were saying about him. Like he would have development issues as far as like mental and cognitively. But Jacobi is he's very smart. He does everything a 14-month-old does cognitively. He just can't crawl. And of course, we're working on his head control. But with his body being proportioned the way it is, and his head is, large, it's kind of hard to get that balance, but he does hold his head up.
Wow. So he's chilled out. Biggest part of the
He's really laid back. Jacobi, he's a laid back kid. He's so funny. He has so much personality. If he doesn't like something, he tells you no. If he doesn't want to do it, he will shake his head no. If he does this thing where he raises his eyebrows up like yes, he's excited to do it.
And did you, can you go back and I wanted to hear this again. Maybe people need to hear this. So the doctor is telling you shouldn't have this baby. And what'd you do about that, doctor?
Oh, I reported him because he was too negative, and I just didn't need that type of energy in my space. I even reported the doctor at Children's who gave him 2 weeks, because it was 2 months down the line, and the doctor came, and this is the same doctor that said Jacobi would only make it 2 weeks. So I first off, Jacobi had an incident where he had a tube that was in his mouth going down, and it came out, and he tried to get me to sign a DNR because he told me that if they had to give Jacobi CPR, he would be dead anyways. So it wouldn't make sense for them to give him that type of trauma. I said, absolutely not. And I kind of went off on him and was just like, he was like, well, if this happens. And I said, well, did it happen? He said, no. I said, well, if it didn't happen, then there's no reason for us to sit here and talk about it. Right. And he walked out of the room with an attitude. 2 months later, he was Jacobi's doctor on rounds for a weekend. And he didn't address me. He never stepped in my son's room. He didn't listen to me because he was wrong. He was a very cocky doctor. I reported him and I never seen him again.
Wow.
Wow, that's definitely not a doctor I would want.
What happened? What happened to that? What's it called? The Hippocrates oath.
Yeah.
I guess they chunked that part out the window, I guess.
Oh yeah. I had to fight for my son though, because his condition is very rare. And at the time, like everybody was telling me, oh, you're such a good advocate. I wasn't even looking at it like that. I was literally just trying to get my son home. I've seen Jacobi close to death too many times. Like, honestly, mentally, that can mess anybody up. He'll stop breathing. I mean, it's been a number of times where I thought that I was losing my son, but if he's here. He's here.
He when you say this is a very rare disease or a very rare
Diagnosis.
diagnosis, what are the numbers involved with
It's
that?
like 1 in 50,000.
Wow. Uh,
And it's only 13 children living with it in the United States, and he's one of 13.
oh my.
That's how rare it is. And most people honestly, they do decide to term their children, and it's no judgment. Some people don't feel like, I've even had people on his Instagram say the quality of his life is horrible and they wouldn't put their child through that and all of this other stuff. But until you're in a situation, you can't say what you wouldn't do. My son is very happy. Just because he's on a ventilator doesn't mean his quality of life is poor. Before this virus came, my son was outside. We went to parks, we went on walks, we went to cookouts, family events. We did all of that. He's not missing out on anything when it comes to life. So just because somebody needs help, that's just like somebody who has asthma. Just because they need an inhaler, is their quality of life horrible? No, they just need extra help. And that's the same thing with Jacobi.
God didn't want him to be alive. He wouldn't be.
He wouldn't. And his nurse said that in the hospital. His nurse said, I've seen kids on a ventilator and still not make it. He wants to be here. He's fighting to be here. He's supposed to be here.
Yeah, but there was a situation when we were in the NICU, and there was a baby that somebody must have been talked into by the doctors that he wasn't worth keeping, because they just let him there. And as he's struggling and fighting for his life, no one ever checked up on him, and he died with nobody advocating for his life. They didn't try to resuscitate him. Nothing. A terrible way to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you to do something. And the anti-God the agnostics and so on and so forth, you're just going to have to step to the side here. And if it offends you by what I'm going to say, I'm not politically correct anyhow. But ladies and gentlemen, here's a call to action. What do you say, Sheq? There's 13 children like this in the United States.
Yes.
Here's what I want to challenge you to do. I'm a firm believer. I know Ed is. I know Sheq is. I'm a firm believer that God answers prayer. He's still a miracle worker.
Yes.
And I want to challenge you, to those that are watching now and to those that will watch as this video goes up. I want to challenge you, nationwide, worldwide. I want you to lift this little guy's name up in prayer and the other children that are sick. Jacobi, I challenge you. Let's start a prayer chain. Let's grip the horns of the altar and not let go, because I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And just as he had his hand on this young fella from the beginning, when he was in his mother's womb, he still has his hand on him today. Doctor said, count him out. Let's forget it. Walk away. But God will have the final say. I challenge every man, woman, and child that knows how to pray and seek the face of God to lift this little guy up and all the others that's across this nation, regardless of where they are. And let's believe God for a miracle. I'm all about the power of God. And I challenge you. I really challenge you. Don't just say, I will pray, but you get there and you find a place to pray. Get by yourself and you get a hold of the horns of those altars and don't let go. And when we get the results, we're going to have Sheq come back and possibly other families also that God has moved upon the scene. And yep, there's a song we used to sing, He'll Do It Again. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that song, but He'll do it again. This didn't take Him by surprise. This don't have Him upset. He has a plan. He has a plan. And I challenge you, near, far, and wide, to go to prayer for this little guy and other little people just like him. And let's just see what God will do. Well, Sheq, this book, let me put the art. Yeah, I'll get it. I told you, Sheq, I can tear up the English language. So I create Espanol words and phrases. Some people get it, some people don't. There is Jacobi and Me. Jacobi and Me. That big brother, he has to be an awesome young man. And God has to have his hand on him too, right?
He definitely.
This is where you can get the book, jacobiandmebook.com. jacobiandmebook.com. Is that the best place to get it right here?
Yes.
And there it is, $24.99. I believe it's a book for everyone. And as Sheq has already said, not only for those that have special need children, I believe that it can be an inspiration and a testimony for each and every one of us. And, you know, guys, Ed and Sheq, with what we're going through as a nation right now in these troubled times, things like this is needed. And especially, ladies and gentlemen, now that we're locked up, locked down, shut in, whatever you want to call it, now would be a great time to get this book, sit down, and then read it. So, man, we need this kind of inspiration, not only because we're going through some rough times, but we just need this information, period. Ed, your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts are, I can't wait to get my copy. I'll be reading it real soon here and looking forward to it. It's an inspirational story. The fact is that Miss Lacey has a lot to be proud of. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling she's going to inspire countless numbers of people with this, as well as I'm sure that she'll have more things down the road. But I think that this book and her testimony about her son is going to light up a lot of flames and get the ball rolling on research for this, as well as it's going to inspire people to know that you can't just say, hey, I'm going to not bring in my child because of what might happen. With God, all things are possible. As a matter of fact, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's should be a line that everybody needs to take a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Ed, you said something, and I wanted to say something after you said that. But you know, Espinlob's brain cell, his one half brain cell, just went dim. But it might come back to me, and it might not. Sheq, you're also starting a book publishing company, right? Or you've already started it?
I've already started it. It's called Inspiring Dreams Publishing. And I did dreams with a J because I wanted it to look different than just DREAMS. And Jacobi stands for with the J. And honestly, again, for me, it's really about being able to help people that are like me, people that are from where I'm from. And I mean, I want to help everybody, but I know when you are in certain situations, I even started a nonprofit before I was pregnant called Forever DC and it was literally just for the Linden area. It was about our youth and bringing opportunities to them that they may have not been able to reach without seeing. So for me, I want to be that vessel for my people. And that's what Inspiring Dreams is for. I've already had people reach out, and somebody that I went to Linden with reached out. So yeah, I'm here to help everybody and to be show people with if you put in the work that you want to put in and you pray about it and you believe it, you can get it. All you have to do, you can't pray without the work. If you want something and you're asking God to help you, make sure you're doing the work. He's not going to do it all. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you got to put legs to your prayers. Faith without works is dead. So it's not enough just to pray. You got to put some legs to that. You got to put your shoulder to the wheel and push on. Wow, Ed, this is a tremendous young lady.
Yep, she's making a lot of people proud.
There is her address, her telephone number, her email, her Instagram handle, and what a tremendous, inspiring story. Lacey, we need to get you out there where this can be heard by everyone.
That's the prayer. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, Mr. Temple and myself, some other folks will get behind you and we'll push you up, lift you up, and see how far we can get you out there. My goodness. I was going to ask you something, but that thing went dim. So once that half brain cell goes dim, I can do nothing about it until it fires up. It does fire up again. I just don't know when it's going to kick in. You know what I'm saying? It has been a tremendous time. Ed, your final thoughts?
Just buy the book. Get on there, Jacobi and Me, or Jacobi and Me book.com. Get on there, purchase the book, and share it. Do reviews. Get the word out there for your sake as well as for the country's sake. We need a good story and a good reason to value each and every day as if it's our last day, because if we don't, we take things for granted and then we live in regret. Like she has a great testimony.
You said that Jacobi, he likes to watch things like Netflix stuff. Does his little eyes light up when he sees stuff like that?
Yeah, it's called Motown Magic, and they just sing a bunch of Motown songs, and he just loves it. I don't know, like it excites him. He can cry, and as soon as you cut his show on, he stops.
Wow.
So
he knows exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, he knows exactly what's going on. Maybe next time we can have him on here, and he can show y'all his personality because he has a lot.
Oh, that would be tremendous. That would be tremendous. And we need to get Big Brother on there too.
Yes. Yes.
Because he's a prince. He's a prince. So when we have you back, let's plan on doing that and bringing the whole gang on.
Sounds good.
I think that'll be tremendous. Sheq, I thank you. I thank you. You have lifted me up. You have made my day, and I'm sure that you have inspired many, many other people, not only here, but around the world with your testimony and your stand and what you're doing. I tip my hat to you, young lady.
Thank you.
And I can see why Mr. Temple is all warm and fuzzy on the inside. And so very, very proud of you. My goodness.
Thank you.
Well, Professor, when you was telling me about this young lady, wow, you certainly were spot on, and I got to commend you. I call Ed the professor, but I have to commend you because knowing you as long as I have now, you never cease to amaze me. Of course, I guess Mrs. Temple could tell me exactly what that means. But anyhow, you never cease to amaze me. Your compassion, uh, your fortitude, how you care about students and people that sit under your teachings. It's quite commendable, and I have the highest respect. And I love you, brother.
I appreciate it, and I didn't even pay you to say that.
No, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Ed and I told you this, Sheik, on the phone. Ed and I, we talk, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day on the telephone. And if we're not talking, we're texting each other. He's become a very, very best friend. Uh, and I'm so happy that he's happy, that you're happy, that everybody's happy. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, we're all happy.
That's right. We're all happy. Oh my goodness. Listen, we're gonna have you come back. We're gonna push you out there, and God bless you. And remember, ladies
Thank
and gentlemen,
you.
get a hold of the horns of those altars, and you pray. You pray around this nation, around the world, uh, because I just know that God is bigger than anything that we would ever face. Uh,
Yes, amen.
thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
You've been a blessing.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Temple.
You're welcome. I hope continued success, and I look forward to hearing what Neil has in store for you. Whatever you guys are going to be getting going, and we're gonna. George and I are glad to help promote you.
All right. Thank you. You both have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Take
You're
care.
welcome.
Wow. What a tremendous, tremendous testimony, inspiration. Uh, Ed, that just gives me goosebumps. I have goosebumps the rest of the day.
Well, it's about time.
That's another thing I like about you. You always keep me laughing. Uh,
Well, I mean, at least you're getting tingly feelings without Joe Biden, in your ear.
I'm getting more tingly feelings than Joe Biden gets. But anyhow, uh, let's do this for just a few minutes. Let me run this up here because and you tell everybody about these articles that you're writing, who you're writing them for,
Uh-huh.
and all that good stuff. So there is the articles that Mr. Ed Temple writes.
Yeah, that's one of the site I literally put the draft form, I should say, because when they end up on Zenith News, which is zenith.news, and then you click on Z News, when they end up there, they are the editor, the other, my editor. I'm an editor, but my final edit comes from Chuck at our site, and Chuck is the founder, and he cleans it up and makes it actually far better because he's a far better writer than I am. But those are articles that are easily available on Newsbreak, and they're not mainstream media articles, but I do the research, put the work in, and they're good articles. I think at least they are in terms of you're going to learn something every time you read one because it takes me a long time to do the research on them. So I appreciate it if you pop on there and check out some of these articles. And you can also, like I said, for the most part, not all of them, but most of them are on zenith.news. So hopefully you'll start reading those and get a little bit more informed of things that you're not going to find on the mainstream media, which is part of what Zenith News is about. It's about basically it's an alternative way to get your information that's not just, from your local, basically where 90% of all the media comes from are just about 5 different companies. And so if you really want to get some information outside the box, you have to go to sites like zenith.news, and it has a whole bunch of opportunities to get information that are not ideologically driven from the mainstream news, mainstream media. Did you like any of those articles, George?
I liked every one of them.
Now, I thought you weren't politically correct.
Oh my! Listen, there are some there are some things, and this is what I like about it. I like to read articles that will make you think. Period. Make you think. You're not following the herd. You're not going with the multitudes. Somebody's challenging you to think. And eventually, here soon, we're going to be doing a show about an article that I wrote and tie in with an article that Ed wrote. And it ought to be quite interesting. But I like them all, Ed. I like them all.
You're just saying that, George.
No, no, I'm not. Look, you paid me $20 to say that.
Okay, well, that's at least we're getting some honesty now. Hey, can you throw up this site that I just put on there?
I sure can.
Okay, so everybody can see that. That's Zenith News, and then if you go over here, and I'll where's it at? Okay, so there's Zenith News. If you go over here to Z News. Okay. If you go over here to Z News, you'll see a lot of the articles that I've done. Actually, okay, wow, my new article's up there.
Yeah.
So there you go. Offensive bio warfare or a series of coincidences. That was just posted. So that's my article that's on Newsweek, Newsbreak. But believe me, it's been cleaned up and it's a lot better work. So matter of fact, I'll go back on Newsbreak and I'll delete the article and put this one on instead because this will be a much better version.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's where you can find some of them. I have a bunch of them on here. Not all these are mine, but let me tell you something. These other writers that are on Zenith News, they're very good writers. As a matter of fact, this is one of Chuck's articles here, very good about the COVID-19. And then also, he has a guy that's similar to Paul Harvey, so you can read some of his articles, but some of these are his. I have some of these articles. Matter of fact, I probably have about, 10 or 11 of them on there. But you can go through the articles, and they're very good, and they're like I said, they'll give you things that you won't hear on your regular news sites. So it's good information. More people need to know about it. The site is such a big hit right now that they've had to get somebody from South Korea to redo the site because it's crashing the system. So many people are getting on.
Wow.
So it's doing very well.
And that's what, zenith.news.
That's correct.
Zenith.
And then once you get on zenith.news, if you want to read the articles written by Zenith News, then you just go to Z News. If you want to check out world news other than what we have on there, you can go on there, and you can even go to dashboard and literally start. You can sign up on the website and start. You can try to post articles, and if they're good enough, we'll go through it and we'll post them. But also, you can decide what news you want. You can go on here and it'll send you emails if you want of the most up-to-date news and so on and so forth. So, pretty cool site.
Pretty cool site. I say that it's a site for thinkers.
Oh yeah,
and
that is the truth.
And we sure do need some thinkers in this day and age. Ed, it's been a delight, like always. And I'm sure we're going to talk again throughout the day. By the way, text, telephone, whatever.
Okay.
You got anything? You got anything going live today?
No, I have to get on with my colleagues tomorrow, and actually, I think tomorrow I'm supposed to get on. I believe with Zenith News on. I think I don't know if we're going Twitter or if we're going to go Facebook Live, but either way, it'll show on both one way or another. Okay,
and you're also doing classes online with students, right?
That's correct. Yep, I have a YouTube channel. I have a few YouTubes we've done. Some of the kids don't want to do it where I record it, so we just do it without recording. But yeah, we have a few videos already up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I watched some of them, and I'm telling you what, the professor he does all that math stuff and calculus and all them other things. I mean, he was stretching, straining my one half brain cell at times.
I wonder why I didn't fire today.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still having the after effects from the last one I watched, but it's tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, when he goes, if it's live, tune in. Test your skills. See if you still got it. There's some things I never got, but nonetheless, Ed, thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
We'll be in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, thank you. Start those watch parties. Get them out there into your news stream and spread the word. What an inspirational show this was today with Sheq Lacey. So from now until next time, from all of us here at the Funny Farm and my good friend Ed Temple, you have a very pleasant day. If it's nighttime, have a very pleasant night. Wherever you're at, whatever time it is, be kind one to another. Don't ever be afraid to say that I love you. It could possibly save a life. So until then, I trust that God will keep you right in the center of his hand. Goodbye, everybody.